right here I said Terrell Bernard would be.
I actually think right here.
Yeah, it was right
By the way,
here.
I'm standing in the spot where Dan Fates made the Dan is right proclamation of his career.
You know what's right over there? The jugs machine. That
Oh!
There's the open.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus Podcast, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Training camp finally here. We are at Fisher, day number 1.
Football is back.
Woo! You can feel it in the air. So many people out at Fisher today. But we
Hot.
got to start with the news of the day, Michael, and that is that James Cook was here and did participate.
I think it's great. I think eventually it's going to be really good for James Cook because I think he's got to be here. I don't think holding in, holding out is going to do him any good in these circumstances. I hope he's getting good advice. He's a very good player. I don't think the door is shut on the Bills re-signing him. I just don't think it's wide open. And Brandon Beane talked about that today, saying, you know, they've had dialogue, but
That he loves James.
he does say he loves James. In fact, he even paused and says, hey, you guys have heard me say
I
he
love
loves
James.
He didn't say Jimbo.
It was not a Jimbo.
It was a full-on
it was
James.
It was James.
serious conversation.
Yes.
But look, the way it is he is their number one back as much as we like the other guys.
Yep.
He's out there practicing with his teammates. He's going to make $5 million this year. And hopefully for James Cook, he plays great and he gets paid, whether it's in Buffalo or somewhere else, gets paid a lot of money. It's the way the NFL works. No guarantees either way, but I
Yeah.
think that's the way it's going to stay.
And I think as soon as you saw him out there, and I think you looked at us and you came over and you were like, this is good.
Yeah.
Like it was that thought of not having this be a distraction.
Yes.
I'm not saying it was or wasn't in the offseason, but when it's a slow offseason and James is posting on social media and all of these things and didn't show up to voluntary, which it is voluntary, it was a little bit of that underlying of would he show up? Like he was even asked at minicamp when he showed up. You going to show up to training camp?
Yeah.
And he says, why don't we just wait and see when camp gets here? So to have that and not have this be really a story instead of just the contract negotiations, set that aside. He was here, he was practicing, everything looked fine.
I liked the move. I think it was the smart thing to do. We know he's about his money. He doesn't want to deal with fines, but he could have come and held in and not practiced, but I think he's been a great teammate, and I do think Brandon Beane talking today was saying, like, you know, the conversations will continue. I don't know what they will be like, but at the same point, at least he was here. He was a good teammate. He showed up. He's putting in the work.
And let's be honest here. He's in part, and I know some of you are going to comment because you always do. He's there because he doesn't want to get fined. Well, there's part of that that's in there, right? He skips training camp.
Yeah.
He gets fined a lot of money. There's no reason for him to do that. The plus for James Cook is, even though I think he's still severely underpaid this year at $5 million.
Yep.
I think he would make more than that, certainly on the open market.
Mm-hmm.
He's not in the open market yet. If I was advising him and he did not ask me, he would have done the exact thing he's done so far.
Yeah.
Skip the non
Make it clear that you are unhappy with your contract and then show up and work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he's speaking to the Bills and he's speaking to 31 other NFL teams now. He shows up and then he'll get paid at some point. So let's
Yeah.
see how it plays out.
It's nice to see that just kind of take care of itself. Now,
Yeah.
what will the second piece look like in terms of a contract, in terms of that playing out? We don't know that yet, but I feel like today I was like, okay, this is at least a solid footing to go forward with, not having all of that hanging over your head.
I also think the other big thing that Beane had said was he's hopeful that when he's sitting here next year at training camp, James is out here practicing, representing the red, white, and blue. So I thought that was the most definitive, him saying, like, we want him back more than before. No?
No, I think that's a good thing for him to say.
I agree.
think-
Yes.
So 0 to 100, what's the number that he's on this team next summer here at camp?
I was going to say, so my thing was what he said, I liked, hopeful. I think it was the perfect thing to say if you were Brandon Beane. Do I think it reflects how the team is approaching it? I don't know, because I don't believe that James Cook will be on the team next season.
Correct.
That's right.
So-
Okay, so I think we're in agreement on
So
that.
I will go 17.8%.
See, why are you doing fractions? Because you can't.
It's a decimal. It's not a fraction.
Well, isn't a fraction technically a decimal?
No, they're different.
No.
Well,
it's
can't they be like similar?
Well, it would be 17.8.
I guess it's like saying 6 of one, half dozen the other.
Yes,
They're
I
the
guess
same.
you're right. Yes.
Who's
You're
right?
It's both are right.
Who's right?
You're both right because it's 17.
I gave her a decimal and she said a fraction.
But it's 17.8 over 100.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. You can tell
Okay.
we're communications majors.
Yeah, seriously.
This is the hard-hitting stuff they come to here for the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel.
I would say
Like, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate
yeah,
it.
I would say I'm less than 17. I think I'm around 15% that
Yeah.
James Cook will be back next year.
15.0
15.0. We're going to keep it round numbers, keep it
Okay.
easy, so it's no fractions involved.
Yeah.
or decimals.
And I'm going to go 14.9. All right. But the other part today was the hearing about Dawson Knox and Spencer Brown. Dawson, hamstring. I don't think it. Do you think it's a big deal?
No.
I mean, Brandon Beane even talked about, like, at later points in the season, he probably would have been out there, but because they have the time, because he's a veteran player, like, you can kind of slow play this a little bit. And I think that's what you want to do. You want to be conservative about it, considering where we're at in the season. So it makes sense to me. I wasn't like, whoa, I'm alarmed. This is going to be a huge thing.
Totally agree with Dawson. Little bit concerned with Spencer.
I'm with you.
The back injury on a surgically repaired back flaring up, don't love.
Yeah.
Don't love hearing
That's
that,
fair.
if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Now,
Especially long term. But
I'm with you. He's not when he's missing. He's missing reps. He's been a very good player at that right tackle spot. I don't worry about that as much. He knows the offense, same coordinator, the whole thing. I'm with you though. Back injuries for big human beings, for anybody, is
Yeah.
a problem, but for big
Same.
people,
Very
it is
large
not
humans.
great. So hopefully it's easy to be a little overly cautious in July.
correct.
We'll see where we are. It'd be nice to see him at some point here, out there practicing. Sometimes these things, it's like, oh, Spencer Brown's cleared and he's on the practice field. I think with a back, it might take a little longer, but we'll see.
agree.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's get to some of our on-the-field observations. Is there any – do we want to start with pass catcher of the day? Do we want to go new to the day, or we want to start general?
So we did that last year with pass catcher of the day. I wanted to add this year new dude of the day because there's a lot of new dudes
There
on
are.
this
Yes.
team. Not that there weren't last year, but we were so focused on the pass catchers.
Yes.
So either one, why don't you start? We'll do new dude of the day.
So new dude of the day for me was Joey Bosa. So I think for me, obviously had during the spring, the injury, you're like, what will this look like? Sean McDermott said in the spring, it won't be an issue. But to see Joey Bosa out here on the field, working with his teammates, he spoke afterwards just about feeling good, about feeling like himself, and really taking the time to also now know some of these guys because of the off season and getting in the reps and all that stuff mentally, but now being able to take that onto the field and how beneficial that will be.
Great quote he had about
Yeah.
spending time with his teammates.
Yeah, this was wild. So he was talking at the podium after practice, and he said the 6 weeks of this last part of the season and now being at training camp, he has spent more time hanging out with his teammates than he did for the entirety of his career with the Chargers.
Yeah.
Which you hear about culture here and how the players love to be
Chargers
around one
catching a
another.
stray.
But I was like,
Just catching
what?
a stray.
It's almost a decade. What?
Yeah, I also was thinking, I was watching Josh Palmer, who was a player on the
Chargers.
and he's signing autographs.
What's up, player?
Well, he's signing autographs for fans, and I'm thinking he was so good. He had a meeting. They kept saying, you got to go, you got to
Yeah.
go. He's like, one more. He was great. He
Yeah.
was running over. He signed more. And I'm thinking to myself, and I mentioned to somebody, it's got to be wild for him that because he played for the Chargers, where most of their home games, more than half the crowd was
Yeah.
for the other team. And he's here. And I thought the crowd was with it today.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
loud.
Yep.
Everything was loud here. People were very excited to see him. But for a guy like Joey Bosa, you brought him up, not just saying that, but flashed on the field too. Like, you see the skill that the guy has.
He blew up Ryan Vandemark.
Yeah. Yes.
It was a great rep, and I think for him it probably just felt good. He had been holding back with the injuries, all that stuff. I think for him, he talked about just the feeling of being himself again, and for an athlete, like, he talked about how he can have a little bit of, like, not self-pity, but just like, dang, I can't believe I'm injured again. So to be back out on the field, I think that's huge. Had those flashes of moments, and then also now settling in with a new team and a new culture and a new environment.
Dan,
here
it started
at
for
Fisher.
me when he wasn't on a list.
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
you say, they have all these lists, and it's like, would it have stunned anybody if they
No.
said Joey Bosa's
on
on the,
pup.
whatever?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't. He's out there practicing. I think that's a positive sign.
My new dude of the day, because I disagree with you guys, TJ Sanders, I thought was electric. I thought he made 2 plays of just throwing away whoever the right guard was that he was going up against. He looked the part that you were hoping to be not as big as the massive human that is Deone Walker.
Yeah.
Like just a mountain of a man, insanely large human being. But he has that more of that agility.
Yeah.
It's almost like you took Ed and kind of pulled him up and stretched him out. Like that's what it looked like with some of that power. Again, I try not to get too excited one way or another, too down on a guy after one day, because it was a pretty light practice.
Yeah.
It's tough at times. Like we will say it. We say it every training camp. We're not judging running plays here when there's no pads on. Even when there are pads on, it's tough to really judge. But I thought he did a couple of really nice stunts, moves, looked powerful and quick from that nose tackle position that I thought was impressive. And Matt Bovee was sitting next to me, and he's like, would it be crazy to say that TJ Sanders has the second most snaps for defensive tackle this year? And I was like, I don't think so.
Wow.
So we were talking to him, and he did say, I asked a very clumsy way of the question, so it didn't really go over very well. But later he was asked about basically playing as a rookie.
Yeah.
And he was, he should feel this way.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are going to get every opportunity.
Yeah.
And I don't like when I hear, first of all, we've already pushed back on that. Sean doesn't like to play rookies. If these guys can play, believe me, they are going to play. And you drafted, 6 of them
Yeah.
in this year's draft. But I think he looked that way. And I'll throw the other one in there. You talk about the human monster size-wise of Deone Walker when he's out there. And one play, he pushed the entire offensive line
Yeah,
back
3
to the
guys.
quarterback.
Yeah.
So he is in a field full of big human beings.
Yes.
He's the biggest.
Comically large.
Comically large
Yeah.
was my tweet.
I'm also so happy that on day one we're talking about the D line. Like I mean that in the best way possible, because there's been
Yes.
a lot of resources that have been
Yes.
put there, but I think it's good to just look. It is day one, but the amount that they have invested in this D line, it's nice to be like, hey, there's some guys that really jump off. Now it's a light practice, all that stuff, but you want to see that considering the amount that they have invested.
I
And
agree.
a lot of fans are going to be excited because there's a lot of people who want to see something from Javon Solomon this year. And there
some
was
nice
a play.
bursts.
A lot of
Yeah,
people-
Well, there
say.
was a play where Reggie Gilliam scored a touchdown.
Yes.
Celebrated. It's a lot of fun. He caught the ball. I think they did a little spike together. But on that play, Solomon was
It would have
stopped.
been.
I mean, he
yeah.
easily would have had a sack on the play.
Yeah.
There was a touchdown earlier. I think it was to Kincaid. They did a ton of red zone today.
Yeah.
It was a
Yes.
touchdown to Kincaid. They celebrated, and we're watching. The touchdown was over here, okay, and on the far end of the field, Taron Johnson is jarring with another player, and you're like, what's going on here? He was jarring with KJ Hamler, which was hysterical. Almost to Taron being like, who are you? Because there was that intensity for the practice, for the red zone. They talk about that. That's why the offense celebrates. The defense was also celebrating on every single stop. It was hilarious. And it was peak day one of training camp.
Yeah.
Of the offense, the backup 7th wide receiver being like, yeah, we scored on you.
And
And
it's
Taron
like-
Johnson being like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Since you brought up Taron, was it Shakir that he hit?
I think so, yeah.
Yes,
He
tackled him.
Yeah. Yeah, not hit.
Yeah, tackled him
To the ground.
to the ground, and and then Shakir's like looking.
Yeah.
And then Sean comes over.
The classic experience. And before Sean could even walk over to him, Taron gives him the, I know, coach, I know. And he gives him just the pat on the back.
Yeah.
And I go, if it was anybody else, they'd be running, push-ups, can't do it. It was one of those things. And Taron was the guy that last year hit Josh during a
Josh
run.
Allen,
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
17,
Yeah.
like hit him. Not only is it training camp, he's Josh Allen and he's wearing a red jersey.
Yes.
And he hit
Taron
him,
just
so-
tackles everything at every time.
Yes, it's the way he plays.
Okay,
so.
I will say you mentioned that Dalton Kincaid touchdown, the catch in the end zone
A
over
couple.
Max Hairston.
Yep.
Yep.
I thought Hairston, for me, had a slower start, but then finished on a high note.
Play of the day.
His play.
His play
Yeah.
at the end. It was a slant route. He was covering on the outside with KJ Hamler. Hamler beat him to the inside. Trubisky with a throw, and it was closing speed, like what you saw
Yeah.
about all with the draft process and this kind of closing
Yep.
speed, was able to cut then back in front of Hamler and knock it down.
Yeah, it's for you guys. It's
Right
what you're
there.
used to. Well, I
It's
wasn't
right
going
there.
to point because I was.
I literally thought you were. 'cause
No,
your
what I
hand-
was
the
going to
way your hand-
reference was it was 10, 15 yards from us. He was
Yeah.
right in front of us. But you are right about that speed. You can see that. Now, there was a play earlier, well-run play. Josh Allen, Curtis Samuel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great coverage, I thought, by Hairston.
Yeah.
Better throw, better catch.
Yeah.
That's what happens. But, hey, he celebrated, too. You should celebrate
The
when you make
entire
a play.
defense did.
Yeah.
Babbage came sprinting out over there into the end zone. It was, like I said, that was the intensity for a lighter day, a lot of red zone stuff. But he wasn't the only one that had a couple nice breakups. Trey White.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I love.
Go off, Queen.
I love seeing Trey White back here at camp. I think for him, like he talked about how it feels like home. It was so funny. I caught a moment like right before practice started of Trey with the cameras of Hard Knocks being like, "Come on, let me show you this person and that person," and like the personality and just the aura of Trey White. But to see him make some plays too, I wanted to see that, and we got to see that today.
Yeah.
Brandon Bean, too.
Yeah. Well, he mentioned, right, about...
He goes, I don't root for a side. He goes, I'm kind of just evaluating. He goes, but I'll admit, I was cheering for Trey. And
Yeah.
he goes, Trey broke up a pass, and Bean goes, I caught myself cheering. And he goes, he came up to me and I said, way to go 2-7. And Trey told him, it's good to be home. And he goes, I'm not going to bet against Trey White. He thinks he's going to get better. Also, we've said we have worries about what is left on the tread on Trey's tires. But I did think it was interesting because, again, he was the fifth cornerback in Baltimore. That's not great. If you're expecting him to be that 2 or 3 here, well, what's that going to be? Bean also talks about sometimes being comfortable, being home brings out the best of a player. And hopefully that is what they're going to find with Trey.
And look, I'm probably, when it comes to the team, I'm probably less sentimental than you two.
She still misses Jerry Hughes.
Yeah, it's just, now I've seen
First
a
of
lot
all,
of players come and go.
I'm a sentimental girl.
You are.
Like,
It's like, I'm not normally, like, even this fake news that I cried at Jenna's wedding is just BS. That's not me. But from a football perspective, I
Not
try
fake
to be
news.
more realistic about where Trey is.
yeah.
I sometimes try to take a bigger look and see who physically flashes on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who's that? Because there's so many players. I would say today, I saw a lot more athleticism in Trey than I expected to see.
I agree.
And I think he was fired up today. So right now he was with the ones, you know.
They alternated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he really did. And then the other part of that was just the idea of, you know, it's going to be a lot for Hairston to get to that spot. But I thought Trey looked good.
You mentioned rotation. So they were rotating in Cole
Safeties.
Bishop,
Yeah.
Taylor Rapp, DeMar Hamlin. They kind of rotated.
Forrest, they were all.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I kind of was like, that is something to me where it was like, okay. There was a time when it was DeMar and Taylor Rapp out there, not Cole Bishop. So
Yeah.
I thought that was something that to
And
know.
I asked a friend of the pod, even though they wouldn't let him be on with us, Carl Jones, and I said, what about the safeties in that case? Because Carl played Division One defensive back.
Syracuse.
And he's like, they got to be able to play both.
Correct.
The days of thinking, oh, this guy's a strong safety,
And
this guy's, you know, you need to be able to do everything.
Yep.
And I think they like that flexibility of saying, can you play the deep third? Can you play press in the box? Can you play that way? Can you cover?
Run support,
That's what they want to do. They're different players, but I do think it's interesting because they do have, while Bishop's trying to earn that spot, both Forrest and certainly DeMar have a lot of starts under their belt.
Yep.
Yeah.
So while it is a position, I think it was ESPN recently that listed that as the, you know, the weakest part of the team, it is a group with a lot of experience at least, and the hope is that Bishop rises up and can be the starter.
Who is your pass catcher of the day?
For me, it was Josh Palmer. I was pleasantly surprised. Again, it was a lot of red zone, so it was a lot of quick cuts, agility kind of throws and things like that. For a bigger guy than what I thought, pretty agile in and out of his breaks, which I liked. I thought he had really good hands. I was pretty impressed by him today.
Yeah, I liked the way he plays. When they were coming out, again, this is very early, in 3 wide receiver sets, it was Palmer, Shakir, and Keon were those guys out there. we'll see how Curtis Samuel is. I already mentioned the one nice catch he made. Let's see where he fits in this group. But I think Josh Palmer is going to get a lot of opportunities to play all over the place in this offense because he can play on the outside for them. So, I'll go with you on that for the first day.
I think after watching him today, it gave me a little bit of like how much and how often they used Gabe Davis. That's what they kind of wanted to have again. And I think he may not have the physicality and the run blocking, but again, I don't care how well my wide receivers run block. I want them to get open and catch the football. I thought there was some ability there that I went, ooh, that could be a fun trait.
Gabe Davis stray.
Stray, he's catching it.
Great run blocker.
He's also a better separator than Gabe was.
Yeah.
100%.
There's no question.
Yeah.
So let's see how it plays
We
out.
also have to talk about Hard Knocks being here.
Yeah.
I inadvertently matched the Hard Knocks t-shirts today.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see NFL Films out here. You saw all the extra cameras, and the equipment, and the personnel, and I just thought that was. And Josh Allen even talked about how it does add that extra buzz having all that media.
I was thinking how wild it's going to be when that first episode comes on.
Yeah.
Because they are everywhere.
They really are.
They are everywhere, and you never know what they're catching. Like they were doing, the cute stuff with Deone and his kids and Trey
sweet.
and all that. They love that kind of stuff. And by the way, they do that stuff when there's no cameras here
Correct.
either. Like
Yeah,
these guys
yeah.
are great that way, but they're catching all that stuff. But when we see, and if you want to look back, Patrick Harris, who's the Penfield, Rochester guy who's directing it, when they go through all those hours of tape to cut it down is going to be a lot. But I'm going to tell you one thing that's going to be a lot, I think, in these shows is the fans here at Fisher. Because
Yeah.
they were, like I said, they were awesome today.
Pat Harris told us that for every 1 hour of video that airs for Hard Knocks episodes, there's 300 hours of raw video to go through.
Yeah, because they go through, like, they'll have meeting rooms and it
unbelievable.
goes
I have
just for
anxiety
hours.
thinking about that coming
Yeah.
from the guy that cuts a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
This is pretty.
No, he's making it about him. You see
Hold
that?
on.
Right here, I said Terrell Bernard would be.
I actually think right here.
Yeah, it was right
By the way,
here.
so I want to say right now, I think Terrell Bernard is a starting linebacker on
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna
brave of
read-
you.
Follow
It's
my
like,
footsteps, Catalana.
have you ever been to great places
Great
in
value?
history? No, I was going to say the Liberty Bell, right? You're standing right in this spot
Should we-
or whatever. I'm standing in the spot where Dan Fates made the Dan is right proclamation of his career.
You know what's right over there? The jugs machine. The
Oh,
There's the open.
TTS.
I walked by it because I couldn't find my notebook. Lost the notebook. If you find one at camp, it's mine. But I was running back from here to there, and I did
Where were
have
you
one
running?
of those. I had one of those moments where I was like, I had a little PTSD where I was like, oh, and then my face started to hurt.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, cracked me up when I saw the jugs machine. We want to thank everyone who got and reached out to us, who saw us today at camp.
I'm going to
Signed a
start
mug.
with. I'm going to start with
Kelly, yeah.
Well, Kelly,
Yes.
our good friend Kelly.
Kelly.
She has the Buffalo Plus mug. We all signed it for her today. That was
Yeah.
fun. We had Tim right here, big fan of Buffalo Plus. He's one of the security people here in
Yes.
the
Oh,
middle.
yeah.
And Mark on the other side, who's always great to us. I'm pointing a little farther
Say,
down there.
you're really
and
pointing
Mark
today.
and Mark who wait a minute, I let you guys do all the pointing. Now I'm pointing. I let Mark find our friend Sal Majorana's recording device.
Yes.
Day one at camp.
Wow.
Rough day for
Dropped
Sal. It was tacos.
But
But he
wasn't
got
happy
it back.
About it.
He got it back. But Mark,
No
big
way.
fan of the
Yeah, it was the first thing he
of
said.
all of the stuff that we do. We see him every
Yes.
day when we're out here at
It
camp.
was funny that when that Maxwell Hairston made that play, I went, I'm going to point to where it was. Like, just knowing that, like, we're going to do the pod recap, it would be like, it's right over there.
Yeah.
It was a good first day.
Yes.
I
Yes.
feel like it's fun to be back out here.
Yep.
James Cook being back,
Yeah.
Josh Allen being Josh Allen, nothing major to report there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But to have Bosa out there and to have rookies seemingly making plays early, like I said, I liked TJ Sanders, Maxwell Harrison making a play. Positive signs.
Yeah.
All
It was
of
good.
that. It was great. All right, thank you so much for joining us here. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Reminder, you can always find the audio-only version of our podcast available wherever you find your podcast. Just check out Buffalo Plus.
And we always do content, but when we're here, if they practice We're putting together a video. We'll
Yes.
recap it. And as we said later, we'll be recapping Hard Knocks as well. But
Yes.
we're having fun out here. We want you guys, if you haven't been, or even if come to camp, we want you to get an idea of what we saw and what we heard. So
Yeah.
we had a lot of fun day one.
Absolutely.
Being more active on Instagram, more active on TikTok,
Our-
more YouTube Shorts.
Our handle is Buffalo Plus _ on TikTok and Instagram. So check us out. And then we all have Instagrams personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do all the things. We appreciate it. And we're trying to take Buffalo Plus to the moon. So let's do it.
All right.
All right. For Dan and Mike, I'm Jenna. I'm going to point back at the camera. We'll see you next time on Buffalo Plus.